Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in on a Saturday afternoon. I already see a few familiar people who I think are making it to our third webinar from InvestorAi Academy. Thank you so much. Delighted to see you all again. And for all of you who are new and are joining us just for today, thank you very much. And we hope to see you every Saturday. Okay, so let's get started. Today, our topic is the power of Alpha 330. But to simply put it, it is an intro to momentum investing. And I have with me today Akshay Bhargava, our chairman and founder of Bridgeweave. You all know us as the app that you see on your phones, or by the end of the session, that app will be on your phone. It's the InvestorAi wealth management app that we have here for you. And what we're doing through these sort of webinars is to go through some of things that a typical investor, retail investor looks at on a day-to-day basis, on an intraday basis, or if you're just a buy and hold investor. But before taking too long, I'd love to invite Akshay to this conversation and open the floor for you. Akshay, over to you. And I will come back in some time when we open up for questions. But till then, all of you will be on mute at the moment. But as and when you have any questions, please feel free to keep the chat buzzing, ask us your questions. We will take almost all of them, and that's what we've been doing when we open the chat. But we are very excited as a team. Over to you, Akshay.
Thank you so much, Shruti. Like her, I want to welcome all of you. I know it's not easy to take time just before lunch on a Saturday. So we are really grateful for you having taken the time to listen to us. We are really pleased to welcome you. I mean, InvestorAi is a relatively new initiative. This is our third webinar. We are ourselves new in the Indian market, but the idea of this webinar is to talk a little bit about some of the concepts that sit behind InvestorAi, and how those concepts play out, how they relate to some of the mathematics and the algorithms that we have designed, and finally how they are presented and how to understand them and really make the most of it. I mean, the purpose of this thing is to help you, all of you, make money. Because if you're not making money, then we have failed. It's a very simple test. So let me start by sharing my screen. And the subject today is momentum investing. And some people may be familiar with the term. Some people may be, some people think it's trend following. Actually, there are differences between trend following and momentum investing. But momentum investing is very simply put. If something is on the rise, chances are it'll keep rising for a little while before it goes down. And if you catch it on the rise, you make money. If you don't catch it on the rise, you won't make money. And so very simply, how does momentum investing work? You have to select the right stock. Okay, firstly, you have to find the right kind of stock. Secondly, you have to perform the right kind of technical analysis, because in momentum investing, technical factors play a bigger role than fundamental factors, because typically fundamental factors tend to play out over a longer period of time. Technical factors have a much shorter shelf life. So if you're looking for short-term momentum investing, then technical factors have a bigger role to play. Thirdly, you have to buy it on the way up and you have to sell it when you think it has peaked. Now, it is very easy to say this, but very difficult to actually do it consistently in practice, because you can do it. It's not impossible, but it needs a lot of discipline. It needs a lot of time. It needs some knowledge, and it needs you to be regular. So every day you have to look at the stock. Every day you have to analyze it, and every day you have to form a view. And if you really want to do it properly, you have to do it for every single stock. So ये तो बहुत काम हो जाता है. And that is why we came up with Alpha 330, because it can just do all this for you. Okay. So again, a very simple concept. And what I hope you will see is a very simple solution in Alpha 330. Now, what sits inside the algorithm, inside the machine learning model, is not simple at all. But that's why we are here, because our objective is to make all this simpler to use, and frankly, it is the use that matters. So, looking at it in more detail, what is Alpha 330? So it's a machine learning model that basically computes the probability of a stock to outperform any threshold level of return. And the threshold level can be set by us. Okay. So what it does, it analyzes over 600 pieces of data, both technical and fundamental. So while we are focusing on technical factors, we are not ignoring fundamentals either. So what we don't want to do is to recommend a stock that is actually going up, but the fundamentals are very weak. So so we have our own filters and boundaries around that. We do this for every single security that we cover, and we cover over 6,000 securities and these stocks in many markets, and we do this every day. So as you can see, it is hard for an individual to do this every day. It is possible, but basically then you don't have a life, because you're just doing analytics all the time. And what Alpha 330 does, it identifies potential breakout signals or stocks that can produce a 3% return in 30 days. So slightly long explanation, but let me just, unpack this a little bit. So if you go back to the definition, it's a machine learning model. So in the phrase machine learning model, learning is very important. It learns. So this algo has been around for over 2 years, and we've been running it. It has now been through a number of market conditions. It went through the April 2020 correction. It went through the boom afterwards, and so on and so forth. So it has seen a number of market conditions, and it has learned some of that. So, any AI model, just like general point, you should think of it like a child. A very intelligent child. But until you teach it physics, chemistry, mathematics, history, languages, it doesn't actually know anything. It's very intelligent. It can understand, it has the ability, but it doesn't have the knowledge. So our task is to create an intelligent model and teach it. And we've been teaching it for 2 years. And that is a never-ending process. So a 2-year model will generally be better than a 1-year model. Can you create the same model today yourself? Of course you can. But you will take 2 years to get to this level of performance. So just bear that in mind. So it's a machine learning model. Then it computes the probability of the stock. So probability changes from time to time. So we compute it every day. And the objective is, can you outperform a certain threshold level? So the current threshold level we've set is 3% in 30 days. That's why the name Alpha 330. That's what it means. What does it look like? So it's again very simple screens. So the first screen, you will see on the very top, you will see company details, the current price, the exchange on which it is listed. Now these are, of course, where I'm giving you India examples, but we cover many markets. And then it tells you what are the signal details. So the algorithm has identified Canfin Homes as a stock that has a high propensity to deliver threshold returns within a 30-day period. Now, because it's a 30-day period, we keep the signal open for 30 days, regardless of what happens. So it could be that on day 1, when we generate it, it's a very strong signal, and then the signal drops, and for the next 29 days, it doesn't. There is no signal. So in this case, there is no signal at the moment, but that's fine. We'll keep it open because since the signal was generated. Now, this is a very powerful thing. This was generated on 26th of February. And the stock has performed brilliantly since then. So just in 12 days, it has gone up 17.5%. So, this is a very, very good. I wish I had bought this. And it's got 18 days remaining because, again, it's a 30-day signal. And currently, there is no signal. Now, tomorrow, there could be a signal. So you can't say that. And at the bottom, you see the chart, which shows you how the signal has moved up and down in the last 30 days. So obviously, because market changes, price changes, signals will fluctuate from day to day, and we show you that. We also show you that in the past, when it has happened, how has this stock done versus the index? So you can see the last signal on Canfin Homes was on 12th of June 2020. And in the 30-day period, index went up by 8%, but Canfin Homes went up by 16%. So it outperformed quite nicely. If you look at the next page, and this is where what I call the Netflix effect. And so far it was identifying something that of interest to you. Now it is showing you similar stocks. So just the way Netflix says that if you like Sacred Games, then you should watch Mirzapur or Powder. It is now telling you if you like Canfin Homes, then here are some finance and non-finance companies that you should be looking at, which have current signals in InvestorAi. So there are three criteria for similarity. One is it must be in the same sector. Secondly, it must be in the same country. And thirdly, it must be an open signal. So now you can see there are 7 open signals, of which Canfin Homes is one. So 6 similar ones. And all of them today, from the date they were generated, so it shows you the date also. For instance, HDFC Bank is a very recent signal on 4th of March, so 1 week old. And it's already up 0.7%. And if you wanted to go to HDFC Bank, you look at the semicircle on top, you click on HDFC Bank, and then you go directly into that signal. Okay, so that's something to remember. So this is the similar page. I find this very useful, because I may have looked at banking stocks because I looked at State Bank of India, but then I want to see what other signals are there in the same sector. So, then I can decide, there's something better, and maybe Karur Vysya Bank is a better option, and so on and so forth. If I go to the last page, which is basically just details, so it gives you a little bit of detail on the company. It gives you historic performance of this stock versus the index, and it shows you last 1 year performance and so on. So as you can see, this is really, really quite simple. Of course, like I said, the calculations, the computations, and the architecture behind the algo is not simple at all. But by the time it reaches you, it is relatively easy and simple to understand. Now, people have asked me, fine, it's all very well to talk about artificial intelligence, but sometimes, it can be quite stupid. And they're right. Machines can be generally quite stupid. So how do I trust what is happening here? And I think the trust is only, you can only judge based on data. So I will come back to the chart on the left. So let me start with the chart on the left. So what the numbers are saying is that Alpha 330 algo has generated 3.2% return in the last 30 days. And that is 1.3% over benchmark in the Indian market. Okay, so these are India market returns. And graphically, you can see all alpha. So if I take every single idea generated by Alpha 330, and I think it's over 100 ideas, and you buy every one of them and you hold them for 30 days, you would have made 3.2% return versus Nifty, which has made 1.8%. So 3.2% times 12 is 38% annualized. That is not a bad return at all. And that is 17% over the index. So that is significant outperformance. So, so this is a backward-looking calculation because, frankly, that's all we can do. But on the right-hand side, you will see a page that is inside InvestorAi. There's a little red target button and an arrow. Whenever you see that, just click on it, and you will see what is algo accuracy as of that date in the last 30 days. So we give you a rolling 30-day calculation. So in the last 30 days, telling you that this algo has been running at 77%, and this number will change. We have seen it as high as 93%. I have seen it as low as 73, 74%. So it will change from time to time. And this is just to give you an idea of what is happening, because I want InvestorAI to be very transparent. We are giving you information. Unless we give you high quality information that you can trust, it loses its value. So, sharing all this basically internal information on accuracy and so on and returns. So this is telling us that this algo is working at 77% accuracy. It generated 618 insights in the last 30 days. So it's a hugely productive algo. I mean, that's 20 insights a day, so, and algo returns on average are 6%. And again, that's a 30-day return. So if you want to annualize it, you can. Lastly, I want to share some further accuracy data with you, because we track this all the time, and Sarthak, my colleague who heads our Brisbane Labs unit, he has a team, and we look at it every day. See, accuracy is not by accident. You can't create the algo once and leave it. कि अपने आप चलता रहेगा. थोड़ा तो चलता रहेगा, but you have to monitor it every day. And you have to check it every day. And sometimes market conditions change. You have to tune it every day. And that is where knowledge, experience, expertise, and having done it for 2 years brings value. And as you can see, this is outperforming everywhere. More in US, not as much in India. A little less in UK and a little less in Europe, but it is generating a whole bunch of ideas. India has had 1,500 ideas. UK has 900. So this is a very, very useful and productive algo. So I'm going to now switch. I'm going to actually show you some additional things in our app, which I think you'll find really, really quite useful. And these are, they are there in the app. You can use it. Some of you may already know. But while I do that, can I just, we have a little questionnaire that we want to administer, and we want to ask you a question. So my first question is going to be, how many years investment experience do all of you have? So just click on the answer.
It's up, yeah. So it's interesting, Akshay. We are seeing 0 to 1, but almost 49% of them are in 0 to 1. But interestingly, 1 to 3 years, we have 24%, and 3+ years are 27%. So if you see, we have
we have a good mix, but many people are, coming, are early investors. They've been less than 1 year in the market. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can all see. Okay, so that's very interesting. So since many of you are, are early investors and and have less than 1 year experience, I'm going to go a little slow and talk about a few things. So some of you are familiar with InvestorAI. By the way, I have one more question. How many of you have used InvestorAI? Shruti, do you have can you just ask that question to everybody?
Yes, we'll just get it up. Yeah, it's up.
Okay, thank you. That's a pretty even mix. Some have used, some have not used. More people have not used. Okay, then it's that tells me something, and I will then spend a little more time telling you about InvestorAI. So when you log in, this is the first page you will see. Okay? This is the home page, and a top banner is, you can see what other people are doing. This is a scrolling thing, so you can just, like Tinder, go left to right or right to left. But unlike Tinder, it doesn't have the same implications. Then you have some videos that you can see to learn more, and there's something called active monitoring that I will come to in a minute. The most important thing is the menu button at the top right. If you go there and you click on preferences, this is very important, guys. If you haven't done this correctly, फिर कुछ ठीक नहीं चलेगा. So you have to select which markets you want. There are many markets available. Okay, I have switched on India, UK, and US, and for today, let me switch off UK and US. And as you can see, it is very easy. It's just literally switch on and switch off. And then you have to select sectors. And I have selected some sectors, and again, I'm going to leave it the way it is. But just remember, if you're not selected banks, you will never see a signal on banks. So if you like banks, you have to switch it on. So once you do the preferences, and it's just a 10-second exercise, then you can go to something called Ideas Corner, and then you'll see all the algos. And you will see Alpha 330, which is where I'm going to click now, and it tells you a little bit what it is, how it works. And then you will see all these insights that are there. We show you 12 by default. You can always click on more, and there are a whole bunch of them because this is a very productive algo. Now, of course, remember, if you're on the free plan and you have not subscribed, you will see a sample insight. Okay, and but please, I would urge you to subscribe, not because we want you to subscribe, of course we do, but more importantly because you will then see all the power of the system. So now you can say this is too much, so please sort it for me. So I said, okay, I only want to see gainers. Okay, and I want to sort it by returns. So I sort of do that, and then it shows me a different sort. So the first one is Canfin Homes, which we have seen. So let's pick something else. Let's pick Sanofi. Pharma company that we all know. So now it is telling me that the signal came on 23rd of February. So it's about 17 days old. Return since inception already 4.3%. So this particular signal has met its target. And the remaining days have 13 days to go. This is historic performance. So in the past, Sanofi in one instance did better than the index, and one instance did not do as well as the index. And this is how the signal has moved. Now you can look at the accuracy. Like I said, you click on the target button on top, and now today's number is 76%. So as you can see, this number keeps changing from time to time, and the rest is familiar to you. 628 insights. This is across all markets in the last 30 days, and 5.7%. So this is this, and then of course some of you may know this, but if you don't, another very useful feature is what we call live info. So if you click on live info, it takes you to Google Finance, and then you can read up news on the company and anything else. You can search more articles and stuff like that. You are still in the app, so that's quite nice because you can just come back with a click of a button. Now you can see there is a share button, so you can share information on WhatsApp, on email, text, etc. So that's another handy little thing. And there's a monitor button, and this takes you into active monitoring. So you can say, I like Sanofi, and monitor it for me because I may think the stock price is too high. If it price drops, then alert me. So the active monitoring will do that for you. And there are 7 similar stocks, all in the pharma sector. And as you can see, except one, everything is positive. That's genuinely powerful, guys. And other than Alchem. And then you can say, okay, I like Glaxo, so you just click on Glaxo, and now you're into Glaxo Insight. And Glaxo, so you can switch very easily and move on. And you can, if you like something in technology, you can look at TCS. TCS signal came on 2nd of March. The returns since inception are plus 1.7. So there are 4 similar stocks. So that's Alpha 330. What you can also do. So what did we do just now? We looked at Sanofi. So let's go into something called Play, and I can say here is Sanofi. And I can click on Sanofi. Now it is showing me a comparison of Sanofi. It's of course taken not the Indian company, but the parent company in France, but the principle is the same. The pink shape is Sanofi. The gray shape is the French market index, and the larger the shape, the better. So it is saying to us that capital structure, consensus view, and valuation, Sanofi is better. Being better on valuation means it's a cheaper stock. But what we were really doing is comparing Sanofi with GSK. So I can say GlaxoSmithKline. And when I compared Sanofi with GSK, I see a different comparison where GSK's future outlook is better, capital structure is better, but Sanofi is not bad either. But analysts prefer Sanofi, and analysts prefer, and valuation is lower. So, and then I can investigate some more. Now, I happen to know because I've done some prior research that Sanofi is one of the candidates for COVID vaccines, and they're working on a COVID vaccine. And I know GSK, a few weeks ago said they're giving up the COVID vaccine. So I said, okay, maybe I want to buy Sanofi. Anyway, I've set it to monitor it, so I could monitor it again. And so it's the play algo is really interesting. It tells you a lot of things. Then now you can see Sanofi is showing up in my active monitoring list. If I click on that and it shows me performance of Sanofi, it tells me there is a live insight today, which I know because that's where we came from. And if there are any prior insights, it would show me there aren't any at the moment. So that's really it. As you can see, it's very straightforward. It's very simple. And again, if you look at the videos, I would encourage you to look at them. They're not short 30-second videos. They're a little long, but they're very useful. And we go through a lot of detail. We also tell you your current subscription plan. And, again, I would urge you to, if you're on the free plan, you will only see our sample insights, which are some of our best insights. But if you want to see the entire universe, there's a lot more. And I think that's the only point I'm making. So thank you for listening. And I'm going to pass on to Shruti. But before I do that, I have one final question. How many of you have used Alpha 330 before? I'm just curious to understand. Okay, not many. But I hope after this, you will be encouraged to do so. And you will find the confidence and you understand how it works. And if you do so, you'll know exactly what you're looking at and how. Thank you very much. Shruti, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand over back to you.
Thank you, Akshay. The chat was buzzing, and we've actually got our questions as you kept speaking. But very interestingly, we saw the results. We have a lot of 0 to 1 year old investors who are sort of starting off. So Akshay, I think the play is something that we've always heard that people really like to use that feature in our app, and download the app and keep trying to learn using play. And I think what Akshay showed us, that's something that'll be really help. But Akshay, off to our first question, and it's a really simple one, but I think let's start with that. We had a question where, we were asked, what exactly is a signal? So when we say, you will see a signal, can we just explain that to them?
I'm going to start, but I'm going to hand over to Sarthak, who will explain it much better than I can. But before I explain, let me just point out one thing. Play is a wonderful, wonderful little thing. And whether you're on free plan or paid plan, it is unrestricted. You can look at any stock, any market, anywhere in the world, anytime. Okay, so even if you just use play, that's a very good way of just comparing companies with another and understanding. So coming back to what a signal is the definition changes depending on which algo you're talking about. So for instance, we showed you the Alpha 330, where the signal is that the probability of the stock is to deliver a 3% return in 30 days is high. You could look at swing trade, which is an even shorter term algo, which is 3 days algo. And then it is telling you that the probability of the stock to generate positive returns in 3 days is high. If you go to value investing, that's a longer term algo. So signal changes depending on what the context is. But let me hand over to Sarthak to give you a little more detail.
Yes, thank you, Akshay. It's been wonderful actually listening to you. So a couple of quick things. The first question is, what is a signal? See, as a lot of you guys are newcomers, let me explain how the industry is. So typically, when you look at a CNBC or a research analyst, they come up with a buy signal, buy this with this target, etc. So from what Investor AI does, it exactly does the same thing, but in form of a signal. Because if you guys really understand, I mean, last 1 year has been the most volatile period in history by far. Stocks going up 4%, falling down 3%. At this point, if you are a longer term investor, that's completely different. We have algos for that as well. Value investing. If some of you guys attended last week, you could have seen that. But for people who are in momentum, buying something and holding for a target becomes very difficult. That's why the signal construct comes in. So what does the signal mean? So, like every fundamental or a technical analyst looks at its threshold, technical looks at patterns, etc. What we do is we take everything from fundamental features, technical features, forecast features, and then we try to teach a system. Like, for example, Infosys, when it did the technical breakout and the fundamental ranking is very good and it's a upside to price target of 15%, there is 85% of the times it does 4% in the next 10 days. So what happens is there is an evidence layer, and with machine learning, the more insights you predict, it's an evidence. Because look, if it is by fluke, you would be around 51-52%, but if you can see the app, it's close to around 70-72%, and at bull markets it was around 85%. So what happens is signals are much easier to interpret versus going for a buy signal and trying to change often.
But just to finish that line of thinking, a signal is a signal that our algorithms generate. By itself, it means very little. It's only when we contextualize to what you're looking at. Because, see, while you're using the app is learning about you. When you play, you put Sanofi, you put GlaxoSmithKline, so the app has learned that you seem to like pharma stocks. So, and that information combined with all the signals really, is a way to curate the insights. And a signal presented in a easy to understand way then becomes usable and therefore an insight. Anyway, let's move on to the
let's get to the next one. So Vignesh has a question. He says, when holding a stock for a short term, how much percentage of profit should be considered to exit from holding? For Alpha 330, should we consider 3% as benchmark?
Sure. So let me take that, Akshay. So typically when we generate a signal, the algo is looking at 3% as the threshold. But remember, within the app, there is something called as a signal status. So every day, end of day, we update that. So even if something is done 3% and the signal still says active, that means it can still do further 3%. So you can continue to hold, but if the signal's fallen and you have achieved your returns, then it's better to get out. I mean, look, this is not advice. This is what I do. So, I'm just trying to
look. There is no substitute, Vignesh, and everybody, of course. There is no substitute to your own judgment. If you're reading bad things about the stock, you made 1%. Get out here. But from an algo mathematics point of view, as long as the signal is active, it is still expected to generate 3% return. So you can treat it that way. But that doesn't mean if the signal has declined, you necessarily have to exit. So I would really urge you not to make it a rule-based thinking. So look at the stock, look at the company, look at some of the fundamentals, see what it's doing in the market. And frankly, if you made positive return, for me, any positive return is good. So, but for Alpha 330, we create with 3% is the benchmark, and that's correct.
I'm observing Aztec Life Sciences. Your prediction is correct. Thank you, sir.
That's good. And I think what you guys just answered, Rohit and Rajaram, I think your questions also got taken care with that. It was similar to what you both just answered. I'm now going to Punyadeep Singh's question. And I think what he's saying is, can you please explain what all goes into the algo? What all do we take into account? And I think it comes back to what you just said, Akshay, the whole mathematics around, what goes into an algo. I think he's just saying, explain it.
If you can give some details around the features and the attributes.
Sure,
so we have 600 pieces of data. And
right.
the trick is in figuring out which one is more important at what time.
Yeah, before, I've given you this answer in a bit and there'll be some overlap. But before I even go to that answer, let me give you some background about Bridgeweave. Akshay was the global CEO of Barclays Wealth, over 200 billion in, AUM, etc. Myself, I worked with UBS. we're the world's largest wealth manager, Akshay. And, we had close to 5 trillion under management. So, working in enterprise, when you're advising ultra high net worth, what is the quality of data. So, I can tell you the data that the amount of price we pay for getting quality data, I think would be the highest probably in India, and I think for a lot of fintechs in the world, because data is gold. I mean, data is a new oil. You guys understand that. Now, coming back to the question in hand, what do we use? So let's take security. Let's take, let's say, Infosys. So what do we take? We take all fundamental factors from price earnings, price to book, EV, EBITDA, return on equity, sales growth, EPS growth. We take momentum features. How has the 12-month forward EPS moved? How has the upside to price target changed? How many analysts have mentioned buy? Then we look at even technical breakouts, MACD move, crossing overs, RSI, all of that. But the thing is, we do not tell this AI, okay, this factor is more important, or that factor is more important. We train the AI to identify that. So when you ask that question, I answered it's a mix, because that mix is determined by the AI, and we've been running it for like 2 years. We were a B2B company where we used to lease out algos to wealth managers to give advice, etc. This is the first time we're doing retail. So, and you also asked this question in terms of bear market, can that average be sustained? The insights that you see, that 1800, 1600, that's over the bear market period and COVID crashes, etc. So yes.
Shruti, can I pick up a question that I'm seeing on the chat?
Yes, please go ahead, Akshay.
It's from Gaurav Akar. And he's saying, in similar stocks, can you include something like weightage to stocks similar to small case if somebody wants to diversify? Thank you, Gaurav. That is such a brilliant question. It is something we are actively working on. Okay. You won't see it in Alpha 330, but the thinking we have is because see, today, InvestorAi simply gives you the signal. It doesn't tell you what to do. It doesn't give you advice. It doesn't tell you whether it's good for you or not. And that is philosophically our position. We don't want to give advice. But there has been so much demand saying, if these signals are so clever and so intelligent and so accurate, can we create a portfolio out of this? So we are now looking at, similar to small case, creating InvestorAi portfolios and making them available to you to buy. And then it's up to you. It's up to you to buy how you want. And then we will publish periodic rebalancing, and then you can just click. So please stay close to InvestorAi. We will be launching this soon. I'm not going to give you a date, but it's coming soon. It's very actively under development from our side. And we hope all of you will find it even more useful than just InvestorAi. So, please remain part of the family. Please have a look at everything, all the signals that come up. And the more you use us, the more you look at what's in the app, I'm hoping more useful it will become. We will always be in beta, because we will always be introducing new services, new features, new things for our users and customers.
So there are two very interesting questions, Akshay. One is, just 1 second. How well does this algo does in a sideways market? Right now, there is decent volatility, so you can try and make some via momentum. So Rohit, the answer to that question is Alpha 330 is designed to look at positive breakouts. We don't try to trade the volatility for that. We need to look at swing, so which is very much what you're talking about. What is Shruti? What is the maximum drawdown I can expect for 330? So the maximum drawdown in a month that we have seen. Shailesh, are you here? Shailesh?
No, it may not be.
He's on mute.
It's okay.
Okay. So it's around 3%. I think that was during COVID period. I can.
Yeah, so the market was down 21% and we were down 17%. So we were beating the benchmark by about 18%, by 3%. And I think we were at 45% or 50% accuracy. So even during downturns, when the entire market is going down every day, algos were still doing way better than the benchmark as a whole.
So Sai Krishna has been actually using our app. So his question is around, when we see a no signal status and remaining days are 18, do we still have a chance to trade, or the chance is gone?
Yeah, absolutely. So the moment we trigger something on Alpha 330, it's like it's your smart watch list. So if the signal is fallen, there's a very good chance, because it is at that level where it can come back again. So always keep a lookout. And that's why you always encourage, just, like you read your morning news, just come into the app, just look at what signals have turned active, and
the app should be a supplement to your morning newspaper. But there is a very good question from Sajid Khan. It's direct to me, but I will read out to everyone because it's really quite an important one. Everybody tells me when to buy a stock, but who can? Nobody, not even AI, can tell me when to sell the stock. Sajid, that's a fantastic question, and I'm so glad you asked it. Thank you. Now, the problem is AI can't tell you when to sell it. Just the way we can come up with it's a good time to buy, we can come up with good time to sell. The problem is that we are not an advisory firm. We do not want to give advice. The moment we start saying, this is a good time to sell, it sort of brings us a little bit closer to advice. So that is one. But more importantly, we don't know how you are constructing your portfolio. Are you looking at it as a value stock? Are you looking at so without knowing your objectives, giving a sell signal could well be misleading. And that's why we've been very careful about it. It's not that we can't do it. We've just decided not to do it for now. If we figure out a right way to do this, we would be very happy to share.
Sajid is continuing. Yeah, he wants to ask us something else, Akshay. So Sajid, please go ahead. We're just unmuting Sajid. Yeah. Okay, till Sajid. Yeah, Sajid, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, which is the right time to take exit or book profit or sell the stock? It's my question again to Bhargav sir.
Yeah, so Sajid, I will simply say this. There is no substitute for personal judgment. For me, 1% may be sufficient. For you, 3% may be sufficient. For Sarthak, it may not be sufficient. So these things are very personal. They depend on your risk appetite, how much money you have allocated, what your view on the market is. So I'm sorry, but there's no general answer to this. I would just say use your judgment.
Just one more thing. Which signal is more considerable to sell a stock?
Which signal is no, we don't give sell signals at all. That's
swing. So if you're
swing, okay. Sorry. Yeah.
So Sajid, there is a section in the app called Swing that is very. See, remember in India, you can only short futures, right? So the universe in Swing is the FNO universe, and only signals that we generate on short are there.
Okay.
There's a follow-up from Rohit on the same point, Akshay, which you were talking about. But it is, if it's a breakout, then why 3% shouldn't it be way more?
Yes, let me answer that. When you're training an algo, you'll have to create a similar benchmark for all securities. Otherwise, you're building individual models for 500 companies, which is right now, the computing power cannot handle that. So that's a limitation. And again, what we have seen is, when you're trying to train the entire universe on one constraint, it starts learning other pattern, market-based behavior, in a sense, market cycles, etc. So that's why.
Okay, we're at the 45-minute mark. So let's take a quick call. Do we want to take one more or two more?
Let's take one last question, please.
Yeah, if somebody wants to raise your hand, please.
Yeah,
please. You can ask directly. Do we see any?
Else we have one which Narendra had asked actually some time back, Sarthak, which was Does the app generate signals for options trading?
Not as of now, no. We do not do options. Our real, I mean, look, the thing is, a lot of what we're trying to do is make investors more, data-driven decisions, etc. We want to provision that. As you can see, a lot of people that have entered the trading community are first timers, and for first timers, FNOs and derivatives, etc., is something that we want to avoid personally. Maybe watch this space. Never say never in this crazy world.
Okay. Anonyo, Mitra, we have taken your feedback into consideration, but we'll give you an email ID to reach out to, for everyone who have anything that you want to ask us in terms of questions. We have a slide that's just going up, but Anonyo, we will reach out to you specifically on that. And Gaurav, thank you. We will reach out to you as well. I just see that you've sent us a question. And that you're sort of interested in opportunities with us, but we will reach out to you for that as well. Can I just have the slides up, please? We just want to wrap up, but we have a few announcements to make on some exciting special offer that we have for all of you. If you see this slide, why it completely excites me is because all of us over a weekend or almost all the time, we order from Swiggy, and I think our subscription prices are, is something that you could, just think like you're ordering, something from Swiggy. So, which is why we're comparing it to it. We have 3 plans, and Akshay actually spoke about that. But we would encourage you to try out the free plan. You're going to see something, very easy to use, exciting. It is a sample. So take a look at that. But you will really benefit from a lot of what we explained today to you on our domestic pro plan, which covers, of course, the India market, and, and all algos are available to you. If you are interested in other countries and, want to invest in countries outside of India, then the global pro plan is something that you should look at. So try us, download us. We have a code right here for you to do it right away. If you want to download the app. But for all of you who've already registered with us, this is our special discount for everyone who attends the webinar. It's a further 10% on the prices that you just saw. It's open till Tuesday, so we're waiting to see you subscribe to us. And on all the recordings of our webinars, it is going to be available on our InvestorAi website, and we will make that announcement. We will send all of you an email. Also, we are on our YouTube channel has all of this. Every time we finish a webinar, by the end of the day, it's already there. If you want to sort of go back to it, look at something that Akshay or Sarthak explained, and before you try something, you want to go through the webinar, understand the algo better. It's all out, up there for you. And here is how you can find us. But we will be signing off today, but we want to hear more from you, and you can reach us on support@bridgeweave.com. There was an email ID that just came up. Team, if you could just go to that slide where, yeah. And thank you so much, all of you. Thank you for staying right through, and asking us these fabulous questions. We look forward to having all of you who came in today, on our app, and on many of you making use of that offer that we have specially for you. But thank you so much. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, Sarthak. Thank you, team. And we're signing off for today. See you next week on Saturday at 12:30. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.